Do you sometimes feel there's a draining negative energy in your home? Well, maybe your home could benefit from a space clearing. Today, I talk with Sam Ritchie, who's a space clearing expert, on what she does in space clearing and how it can benefit your home, your business, and your life. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the Alison McWhinnie podcast, where we have conversations on business and wellbeing success. And today I am delighted to welcome Sam Ritchie to the podcast, an expert on space clearing. She is a certified angel guide, certified by Carl Gray, and she's been space clearing for around 25 years and can do this work both on site and remotely using a floor plan and an address. By turning negative and sometimes harmful energy into positive, abundant energy, this work has brought a sense of well-being, calm, and the feeling of a clearer, cleaner space to Sam's clients. It has helped businesses to grow and sell properties that have been stuck on the market for a long time. Sam's aim is to help people live a happy, connected, and guided life. This, she believes, helps to raise the collective vibration and bring in positive changes for all humanity. Sam's first book, Echoes Within Walls, is full of exciting and eye-opening accounts of her work and understanding of energy and the human mind. Sam, a very warm welcome to the podcast. I'd like to start off by saying what exactly is space clearing? And how is it different from regular cleaning and decluttering?
Okay, so if you think of a property like a block of clay, so the biggest handprint in a block of clay makes the biggest impression. That's the same with energy and buildings. Mm-hmm. So the bigger the emotional event is, the bigger the handprint. So unfortunately, as we all know, the negative tends to always be the bigger emotional response. If we think back to our own memories, right, we have to think harder about the positive memories, whereas the negatives just enter our head willy-nilly when we don't want them to. And it's almost the same with property. So we even say, don't we, when we walk into a room and there's been an argument, we say you can cut the atmosphere with a knife. So this is the sort of energy we're talking about. We're talking about those energy imprints that make us feel uncomfortable. There can also be entities or spirits, souls that stuck, that all of this has an impact on us. We know when we have coffee with a friend who's a bit down in the dumps, we go away feeling exhausted. And this happens with buildings as well. If the energy's off, you can walk into the most beautiful building and go, I don't like it here. Or somewhere that really needs a good clean. Yet the energy feels nice and you just feel at home. So this is the energies that we're talking about. And what space clearing does is get rid of the negative and enhance the positive. So all the love, all the fun, all the laughter, we bring that out. So that is at the forefront of the building rather than the negative.
And that in turn can support people in their happiness and their success, whatever that means to them. We've touched a few in the intro. Does clutter affect the energy of your home?
Yes. Yeah, because everything is energy, right? So if we believe that everything is energy, then we all collect energy. So you might have an object that you love and that has positive energy, like your wedding ring, for example, right? And you don't take that off. So that's part of your energy then. But if you take it to a medium that does that sort of thing, they could read your energy through that because objects hold energy. So if you've got lots of clutter, lots of rubbish around, yeah, definitely. And if it goes to the point where it's hoarding, then that really brings someone down because they are literally surrounded with rubbish, which is holding the energy of rubbish. So, you know, you see on the telly, don't you, people with newspapers piled up. Well, we all know that newspapers very rarely have good news in them. So you're surrounding yourself with that energy.
And what about a lack of cleaning? Does that have an impact on the energy of your home?
Yes, it does. It does. Although, having said that, you don't necessarily need to clean to have your house space cleared. But you know yourself when you change your bed, right? It feels just nice to get into a clean bed. And it does have an energetic effect on you just by being dirty. So yeah, if you can clean your house or get someone else to do it. If you can get someone else to do it, even better, right?
Absolutely. I think I'll bring forward the spring cleaning for next year already.
Yeah, you see, part of one of my daughters lives at home, and part of her rent is she has to do my cleaning.
Very good deal.
Yeah,
Does the location of a home affect its energy? So I'm thinking here, are there different vibes for different countries?
yeah. Today I've space cleared in 7 different countries, and they have very different vibes. I live in Spain, so the properties I do in Spain, we get an awful lot of priests in Spain, a lot of running away, a lot of hiding energy. But if you look at the history of Spain, you've got the Spanish Inquisition, you've got the whole Civil War, the whole Franco thing, all really heavily related to the church here. And unfortunately, and I'm not making a comment on religion here, but the priests that I've come across while space clearing have not been men of God. They have used that as a front, if you like, to for their own ego and for their own gain, which is not saying that that is what goes on with priests now, but they're the ones that I've come up against. Whereas England, it seems to be a lot of workhouse type energy, a lot of poverty type energy, surrounding that. I mean, that could be because the areas where I've done most of the jobs have been within the shadow of a workhouse. But you get a lot of that. But also more modern energies coming up there too, of family dynamics in the 80s and 90s coming up as well. But a lot of workhouse energy is historic. And then you've got the ones I've done in America have been very Civil War-y, very cowboys and Indians, which is really fun. Because it's not something I know a lot about. So it's like, oh, did that really happen? Oh my goodness. And then I ask my client, and if they don't know, then I Google it because I don't Google an area before I do it. I like to see what comes up naturally. And if my client can't confirm anything, then I try and find it on Google, which doesn't always happen, but it's nice when it does.
Sure.
And then I've done a property in Poland, in Warsaw, which was very hiding World War II energy with it, as was the one I did in Belgium, which was all about hiding, scared, and the whole Nazi thing going on there, which was interesting. Although both countries had a different feel about them. Warsaw was a lot heavier than the one in Belgium, which was interesting.
Yeah.
So yes, location has a big part to play.
And is there any connection between Feng Shui and energy clearing?
Yep, Feng Shui is ancient art which is about placing things in certain places to enhance the energy. I am not a Feng Shui expert, however, sometimes guidance I get for people to put crystals in certain place, or for example, move your desk if you work at home, move your desk so that you can see the door even if you work online, because that attracts clients. It's saying, hi, I'm open.
Yeah.
I'm open to receiving clients. So although I'm not an expert, it definitely comes through about positioning things in certain places to help enhance the energy. I had one client who works from home and he was facing a wall because his office was so small. It was like, okay, so he can't physically change it, but what he could do was put a mirror above his desk so he could see the door, which is then inviting in clients, and he got results within 24 hours.
Fabulous. How would I know if my home needs an energy clearing?
Okay, so leave every home needs space clearing, because we're bringing in other people's energy, we're letting in other people's energy all the time. You don't necessarily know the history of the home or the land. So I would encourage everyone to space clear their own home. Only time you shouldn't space clear your own home is if you are scared or you have mental health issues, because if you're scared, you're going to attract things to be scared of. Most people do not see the history that I see, but if you're scared that you might, then don't do it. Get someone who's not scared to do it. But there's other signs as well. If an animal won't go in part of your house, then that's a big sign that you've got an entity lingering there. If there's a place in your house you don't feel comfortable, that could be an entity, or it could be residual energy. If things just keep breaking down all of the time, but don't seem to be logical. I had one couple, they just did not feel comfortable in their house, but the water broke, then the electric broke, then the internet broke, and they were seriously considering moving. The lady of the house had got to the point where she dreaded going home, because it's like, what else is going to have gone wrong? She'd sit in her car for 10 minutes before she'd go home. And it's like, now she doesn't have that issue. Things moving, strange smells, these are all signs that you need to space clear your house.
And is there a difference between clearing energy and blessing or charging a space?
I would say it's the same thing.
Okay.
When I space clear, I remove all of the negative energy through intention. I do rituals as well, like clapping, and all of your listeners, when we finished, go round your room and clap, because you can hear the energy shifting. If you listen really hard, you can hear the difference in sound, and that's you moving the energy. So yeah, blessing, I always program the properties. So once I've done the energy clearing, I replace that space, if you like, by making it, depending what the clients come for, healthy, happy, and abundant. If a person comes to me because he's stuck on the market, or an estate agent, I work with estate agents too, then I ask for the perfect buyer at the right price, and for them to be healthy, happy, and abundant. I always ask that the space be healthy, happy, and abundant for the greatest good of all. So it is a bit different, but no.
Now, we've talked about,
Yes,
you
but
might
no,
have an entity in your home. What brings an entity in?
there is many reasons. It could be stuck there. It could be historic. It could have died in the house. It could, if it's a unpleasant entity, then it wants control still, and it didn't let go of control in life, and it doesn't want to in death. we can also have loved ones that come in, which is lovely. My mum comes quite often, and I get a whiff of perfume when I open her jewelry box. My grandmother, if I don't wind the clock I inherited for her, moves plates so that I wind up the clock. So we don't want their love. We don't want them to come back. It's the ones that are troublesome, and they could just be stuck there from before, or they can sometimes catch on to us as well, and we've unknowingly brought them in. So there is a number of reasons why.
And is intention setting important during a clearing?
Yeah, it's everything.
It's everything. And what's the best way to prepare ourselves mentally or spiritually before clearing a space?
Protect your energy. Energy protection is key as well. So that's the first thing that anyone should do before doing any sort of spiritual work at all, is protect your energy. And on my website and my YouTube channel, there's a free energy protection meditation. And once you know how to do it, I do it in the shower, right? Because then I don't forget. Right? We all shower every day, right? So it's like I wash my hair, I put my protection on, and it obviously is effective, because I'm working with a lady in the States at the moment, and she does healing work, and she was like, I can't get through your protection. I just cannot get through it. I was like, well, you didn't tell me you were doing it, did you? Otherwise, I would have allowed you in. So it does work. It does work. And when you get an outside source going, I couldn't get into your energy field, you know that it's working. So yeah, highly recommend. However you protect your energy, find what works for you. For me, it works doing it in the shower.
Yeah. And do we need to say a prayer or mantra or affirmation during the process of space clearing?
Yeah, I always start with prayer. I always call in the angels and guides, because I believe that they are working through me. It's not me doing the work. They just need a human, which in this instance happens to be me. So it is part of the process to say a prayer and to make that connection.
And how long does an effective space clearing take? And is there a particularly good time of day to do it?
Okay, how long's a piece of string? It depends.
Depends what you find, I suppose.
It depends. It really does. And the size of the property. It's not so much when I get from a floor plan, but like if I'm physically in a property. I did one in person last week, which was a reasonable size 3-bedroom flat, and it took me 3 hours. I've also done a hotel, which took me 3 trips, right? So it depends what comes up and the size of the property. I have done one on a floor plan, and we came across demonic energy, which was a shock, because until that point I didn't believe in demons. So it's like, they're going to chuck me some demons, so I believe in them. But that one took me all day, because I kept having to leave my office and coming back because it was so heavy. So it is, how long is a piece of string? And no, I don't believe that any time of day is better than another to do it. It's all about your intention. If you believe it's the right time of day, it's the right time of day.
If it feels right. And do you do each room separately, or the whole building together, the whole house together?
I do each room separately.
Each room separately.
I do each room separately. And then before I start, I do a prayer to call in the angels and guides. I ask them to reveal what I need to know, and to help me and to clear the energy of the property. At the end, I then protect the whole building. So I will have done each room programming, like the hotel. every room is programmed for the best night's sleep ever for the clients. And then the whole hotel was put in a bubble of protection and a bubble of light, to enhance the safety of the property, and also to program it to be successful.
Yeah. And can we become more sensitive to the energy in our home? Is there a way to do that? So
Just
when it shifts?
sit quietly.
Yeah.
Just sit quietly. And yeah, if you want to hear the energy of your home, clap.
Yeah.
Because just by clapping, you're moving stagnant energy. But sitting quietly, meditating helps.
As well. Yeah.
Yeah.
As well as clapping, are there any other methods we could be using to help improve our space, like smudging, that sort of thing?
Yeah, I always start with clapping.
Yep.
I always have a joss stick on, an incense burning. I always have candles. I use crystals as well. I use bells, Palo Santo sage, singing bowls, tuning fork now, because I've recently got them and they're fun. And you can't have enough. But just go with what feels right for you. The very first time I space cleared was 25 years ago. I started with clapping and incense, and I saw the whole history of the house. And it just felt off, and I was talking to someone about it, and she said, "Oh, you want a space clear?" And it was before Google was a thing. So it's like, how do I do that? What is that? And she said, just clap and use a joss stick and set your intention. And that's what I did. And I got all of this history of the property. And when I told her, she was like, most people don't get anything. They feel better, but they don't see anything.
Goodness.
So you may see something, you may not. But go, if you've got incense, burn that. If you've got candles, light them. And if you've got bells and singing bowls and things like that, you chuck it all at it. Just go with what feels right for you. If you've only got incense and your hands, clap and use your incense.
One thing that absolutely fascinates me is music and the different sound frequencies of music. So my background is one of healing, and I know that certain hertzes are very good for healing. Is there a particular hertz that is good for space clearing?
There is, can't tell you what one it is right off the top of my head. When I believe that any vibrational noise helps to space clear, which is why I use bells, but they have different sounds. When I use the tuning forks, I just let them tell me which ones they want to be played.
It's very intuitive.
So yeah, I just but there is, because I looked it up, but I can't remember what it is. Okay. But I just go, who wants to play today, and let them tell me which ones want to come out.
Yeah. Talk us through how you clear a space remotely.
Okay, so I start with drawing a floor plan, and then I program it. So I call in my angels. First of all, I always protect my energy. I set crystals on the plan. I put candles on the plan. And then I do it the same way as I would if I was in person. So I clap over it. I use my Palo Santo and sage. I've already got my joss stick going in the corner. And with the Palo Santo and sage, that's when I get the most information. So I normally go and have a cup of tea and just sit quietly in that space to get as much information as I can for my client, because and also it fascinates me to see the history of the place. So if I sit quietly, and everyone in my home knows, if I go, I'm space clearing, don't talk to me. That means don't talk to me, because I'm getting loads of information. And then I use my bells, and I use the tuning forks, and I use my singing bowl. I always finish with a singing bowl, just because that feels right to me. and then I program it for whatever my client's needs are and put it in a bubble of protection.
Do you recommend people have a space clearing when they move into a new home?
Yeah, absolutely. You don't know what you're picking up.
Yeah.
You don't know what energy is there. For example, my daughter's recently, well, it's not that recent now actually, moved home, and she was like, "Mum, I'm not moving until you've space cleared our new flat. I'm not moving in until you do it. So can you do it this week, please?" Right? So it's like, yeah, just send over the details. But where she used to live, she shared a flat with quite a few other people, and I had to space clear that one regularly because some of the girls that lived there would play with the Ouija board, but they didn't respect it and they didn't know what they were doing, so they were attracting stuff that we don't want to attract it. So it was like, she's like, "Mum, something funky's happening again." I'm like, "Okay." And I kept bubbling it in bubble of protection, bubble of protection. And they were literally, whatever they were calling up was knocking on the door, and literally knocking on the door at times. So every time that started to happen, my daughter was like, "Mum." But she's like, "I'm really not moving into this new flat until you space cleared it." Actually, her intuition's pretty good, and there wasn't much there. But
Yeah.
but she was just like, "No, it's not happening."
So in our homes, when we have a conflict or an illness or a stressful event, is it a good idea to do the clapping and the sage and everything as soon as possible afterwards, just to move that on?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you've been stuck in something, for example, I've got a friend who unfortunately broke her ankle, and she's been laid up for quite a while now. And as soon as she's out and about, I will be space clearing that house for her, because you do not want to be living in that energy of being, well, for her, being stuck. She physically can't go anywhere. And you don't want to live in that energy of being sick. And yeah, so yeah, definitely.
Are there any other ways that we can maintain good energy flow in our home between clearings?
Yeah, crystals, candles, burn incense, all help the energy flow. Laugh, have a party, have some fun. All these things have a positive impact. Do things you love to do. That will all help create that more positive rather than the struggle.
Yeah.
Turn off.
Is
Turn the
there
news off.
is there a particular crystal you recommend for this work?
No, I think just go with your intuition. Go with the one that calls you. All crystals have the potential of doing every job, I believe. It's just some are better known than others for certain things, like rose quartz, love. But I quite often recommend rose quartz, actually. Rose quartz and amethyst are the two ones that come up to put in spaces. If you've got a space that's a bit of a strange shape, so if you've got a space that's like that, if you put a crystal at the end in the corner of it, that helps, because that's where all the energy is going to go, into the corners. So
Right.
you don't want stagnant energy in your corners. So if you've got a strange corner, put a crystal in it and just go with which one do you like, you know, because if you like it, that's your intuition. So go with that.
I'm assuming pets and children can feel the benefits of energy clearing as well. Should they be present during a clearing?
Doesn't make any difference.
Okay.
Doesn't make any difference at all. As long as you're always working for the highest good of all. So I used to look after my friend's little boy, and I would be remote space clearing when it was about. My animals are always here. In fact, normally one of my dogs is in here with me when I'm doing it. So no, and I did a house that had about 9 cats, and all the cats just followed me around. It's fine.
Would you like to give us some examples of the results of your work, case studies?
Yeah. So friends of mine was selling her house, and she was very disillusioned with the estate agent. Well, she was so disillusioned, she fired him. And
Pretty disillusioned,
she
yeah.
said to me, because of my background, yeah, I was an estate agent in a previous life, this lifetime, but a previous life. And she knew this and said, do you think we could sell this between us? And I said, yeah, but I'm not doing it like the estate agents here do it. I've got to do it my way, which is very old school because it's a long time ago since I was an estate agent. So it was all old school then. It was proper details. I said, as long as you're prepared to do what I say, yeah. And I said, and the first thing we need to do is space clear your house because there's 2 entities in your house. And she's like, all right. So I met her in the property. She'd already left. She'd already moved out. And I did a card reading, and the 2 entities were there while I was doing the card reading. The next day, I went back on my own, and not a thing. They'd gone. Just the fact of me being in the space doing the card reading had moved them on. Within 24 hours, she got a phone call from an estate agent she hadn't even instructed to sell the property with an offer that she accepted, and they wanted to complete within 2 weeks.
Oh, how
And it's like,
wonderful is that?
okay, there you go.
Brilliant.
And the first time I was going to say, the first time I remotely space cleared, I didn't know if I could do it.
Right.
And a friend, a different friend, contacted me. I'd space cleared their holiday home in Spain 10 years before, forgotten I'd done it. And she said, Sam, I need your help. I've got this property. It was my grandparents' property. It's got tenants in it. It needs essential maintenance and they won't let me in. Can you space clear it from a floor plan and address? And I said, I don't know. So I just was like, okay, tell me how to do it. That's how the whole floor plan came about. But less than 24 hours, the tenants are in and the building works have been scheduled.
Wonderful.
So I'm like, okay, this works.
We'll keep doing this. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Tell us about your book and where people can purchase it.
Okay, so my book is Echoes Within Walls.
Mm-hmm.
It tells you how to space clear, tells you a bit about my backstory. It tells you about the properties that I've had the privilege of space clearing, and it is a privilege. And it's available from bookshops worldwide, Amazon, and all digital platforms.
Lovely. Is there anything else that you would like included in this podcast that we've not covered?
Yeah, I also hold space for a spiritual circle twice a month, which is open to anyone. If you're just dipping your little toe into what does it mean to be a spiritual being, or you're well down the road, it's for everyone. We touch on a wide range of different subjects. We send healing, remote healing, and we do a meditation. And on the topic of the day, yesterday it was breathing. And then we have oracle cards get read as well. So I read oracle cards for people. But we're building a really nice, supportive community that share knowledge. And I've got people that have been on the spiritual path forever, and people that are like, not sure I believe this, which is cool. I like that. Let's have a mix.
Yeah, absolutely. And how can people get in touch with you and contact you for your services?
Yeah, so I'm on Facebook, Sam Angel Guide. I've also got a YouTube channel, which is Sam Angel Guide, website, samangelguide.com. So basically, yeah, Sam Angel Guide should find me.
Sam, it's been an absolute joy chatting with you today. Thank you so much for coming on the
Thank
podcast
you.
and sharing your knowledge with us. A fascinating subject. And I'm now off to do some clapping around my home.
Good.
Bye for now.